On today's show, how an addiction to wild turkeys in the outdoors has inspired one young man to launch his own business with products made with his own hands. It's that time of year, the time for migration, Mother Nature's magical journey that never ceases to amaze.
Take me to the fish, Griz.
Yeah.
Next, a fishing character whose name says it all. We're gonna float down the river with the Grizz. And our Minnesota-bound classic is one from way back. Try 18 years back when I met a memorable character. His tagline, the Snakeman. Those stories and more next.
Minnesota Bound. Brought to you by Minnesota's Select GMC dealers.
Hi, everybody. Raven and I welcome you to the show. You know, it's April time. That means turkey time for a lot of us. You already know that I'm addicted to that bird. So it's always kind of nice to find somebody else who's addicted as well. This guy makes his own turkey calls, too.
His boyhood home in Ramsey, Minnesota sits tucked in the woods with neighbors who are a little wild. You could say it's the perfect setting for Kevin Croteau.
Well, welcome to Kevin Croteau's workshop. You know, I've told you before about the addiction of wild turkey hunting, the passion for it. Well, Kevin has the disease. And what happened is he started his own turkey call-making business, starting with a square block of wood and turning it into turkey calling magic.
Starts off with a 4-inch by 4-inch by 1-inch thick piece of wood. All my calls start from that, and then I start off with the miter box here, and I just dog-ear the corners.
It's fair to ask, what's a college kid doing while home on spring break? Making turkey calls in his workshop instead of playing on a beach somewhere in Florida.
First off, I fell in love with turkey hunting the first time I went. Started turning wood when I was a freshman in high school, so about 7 years ago I started making my own calls. It took me about a year of design and researching and finding the sound that I was looking for, and I've been in business ever since then.
Business indeed.
I figured I've sold, last track was probably over 50 calls. I've made a few hundred for sure. I've donated some to NWTF.
He calls the business Last Strut Custom Calls for a reason.
I came up with Last Strut Custom Calls because when you're calling that gobbler in and he's hearing this call, it's going to be when he comes in strutting, it's going to be his last strut.
Kevin makes friction calls, also known generally as slate or glass calls, requiring something called a striker.
The main sound that you use during the springtime and even during the fall time is just the yelp of a hen, and it sounds just like this. You're hoping for a response. A lot of times if you just use a plain yelp, like that, they'll hear that, but a lot of times they won't gobble. Sometimes what I've had is if you throw some excited cutting in there, just that'll get them, they'll respond to that a lot of times. They'll get them really fired up.
Like Stradivarius playing his own violin, Kevin easily plays turkey music with an instrument made with his own hands, or sometimes his voice.
You're a whole orchestra.
Being a turkey nut is the easy part. Making the call is, well, a different tune.
Right. So once I cut my corners on my miter box, I take a faceplate right here which holds the block to the lathe. I use 4 screws, and those 4 screws later on become the holes in the bottom of the call where the sound comes out.
Well, in reality, you're making a musical instrument.
Correct.
Wow.
It's really rewarding when you go out in the woods with something that you made and you kill a bird using a call that you made. That's the best feeling in the world.
After more chiseling, then sanding.
And I sand till all my gouge marks or chisel marks are outside of the call.
Do you ever get a oops?
At first, yeah, I had a ton of oops, yeah.
That's what
I made more firewood than I did calls actually at first.
Bought him just a cheap old lathe and stuff for him to get started. He's a perfectionist as what he does. I mean, his calls are never scratch marks in them. He's very picky with what he does, the finish, the sound, everything. I mean, if it don't sound right, he don't sell it.
Okay, so I'll glue this 3-inch piece of either slate or glass to this pedestal right here.
So the instrument is being tuned then.
Basically, yep.
So goes the turkey obsession, to sound like a hen, a quest with no ending, really.
Turkeys don't stand a chance, buddy.
No, they don't.
That's a call maker's idea of a joke. Coming up, we'll take a look at the magic of migration. How do the animals know where to go and when? That's why it's magic.
Minnesota Bound, brought to you by Minnesota Select GMC dealers. Kingtail Gator, Borderview Lodge, and by Jesse Treble's Safe Basements of Minnesota.
Welcome back. You know, we already know in springtime birds sing a lot, but also birds move a lot. We call it migration. It is one of nature's greatest spectacles. Enjoy.
Some go by land, others by sea, while those that can fly take to the air. Migrating wildlife. For 3,000 years, historians say, we have watched and wondered about this natural phenomenon called migration, and we still do.
I would describe a caribou as a northern legend because you see this kind of landscape, this kind of environment, and just the journey that they have to partake in order to survive.
These swans have had to discover their own migration routes because they did not originally have adults to follow. So they've been pioneering to wherever they can stay safe and alive through the winter.
Yet mysteries of migration continue. Who knows where to go? Who knows when to go? Who knows how to get there?
I like to be able to tag fish and see where they go.
Some of the questions, 3,000 years later, remain unanswered.
My personal belief is that there's been a lead cow, you know, someone in that matriarchal group that'll just keep moving, and then their calves follow, and all the bulls follow the cows west.
We do know sandhill cranes have followed Nebraska's Platte River for more than 3 million years.
In my mind, what happens here is the cranes are on their way north, and they need a place to be able to sit down and get all the energy they need to be able to complete their migration.
In truth, wildlife species that migrate do so to survive, but the trip itself can be full of danger.
Probably the most important thing to really realize is that their ability to survive all the elements and do it so gracefully. And this is a daily chore, whether it be ice, rain, snow.
When these Franklin gulls head south from Agassiz National Wildlife Refuge in northwest Minnesota, the journey ahead is, by any measure, remarkable.
Because they are the longest migrating gull in the world, they do migrate all the way down to the west coast of Chile, southwest coast of Chile, South America. So they have 3,000 miles to fly down that far before winter sets in.
Indeed, feats of migration are almost beyond our comprehension. Long ago, scientists guessed that tiny hummingbirds hitched a ride on the backs of geese to go south. Today we know some migrating birds like mallards may fly at altitudes of 20,000 feet or more, way above oxygen. On Africa's plains, herds of wildebeest and zebras may take 250-mile journeys twice a year. In the Arctic, caribou herds are known to walk 350 miles in 10 days. Even the monarch butterfly, so light and delicate, travels 2,000 miles in 60 days. And who would guess this small duck, the blue-winged teal, is capable of flying 3,800 miles in 1 month. From orca whales to king salmon, from bald eagles to backyard robins, from V-shaped goose flights to night-flying coots. These are among the wonders of migration, and wonders never cease.
Turkey hunting is so much fun, but one of the biggest challenges facing hunters is which decoy do I use and when do I use it? First off, decoys have come a long way. AVNX, look at these things. They are so lifelike, amazing to look at. I've got a few rules I follow. Number one, I use hens throughout the spring season. Remember, it's mating season, so the big gobblers are looking for a date. Put this out, use some yelp calls. Hopefully an interested gobbler will see it. Another option is to use a jake. That's a young gobbler. These big old toms see these young guys and they go after them. They kind of want to beat them up a little bit. So that can be a good option. Sometimes folks put out a full-size big old tom. The idea there is, what's he doing over there? What am I missing out? They get jealous, they get curious, and they want to see. So a big gobbler can work. Here's another option. It's called the funky chicken. It's like no turkey you've ever seen, but that's the whole point. They see this thing and go, what is that? I got to check that out. Figure out what kind of decoy you want to use. Have a selection. Believe me, they can make a difference when you're hunting.
Oh, there you go.
Up ahead, we share a fishing boat on the river with one of our favorite fishing guides, the Grizz.
Oh, it's a big old catfish.
Closed captioning from Minnesota Bound is brought to you by Running Aces Casino and Racetrack.
For lots of us, fishing fever starts at this time of year. What better way to scratch that itch than to spend a day with a guy we call the Grizz?
If you've never before seen a real-life river rat, well, now you have.
And the fun part about fishing on a river, you never know what you're going to pull up.
He's also the most famous river rat in Minnesota. Meet the Grizz, short for
Dick Javinsky, Pollock. I'm 71 and a half right now. We're getting up there.
To the Grizz, up there usually means the daily fish count kept on a hand clicker.
Still have your clicker?
There it is, the original.
Oh, that's the original
That's
clicker.
the one. Oh, we have walleyes some days over 200 a day. It sounds like, you know, but it was true.
Take me to the fish, Grizz.
Yeah.
That's what's nice about having a guide. I don't have to think.
Yep. Yeah, just put the rod down and, well, do it.
Finding fish close to home may explain why you'll often find the Grizz floating and fishing his favorite hangout, the old Mississippi, from St. Paul on down.
Well, you won't confuse this with wilderness, will you?
No, not up here.
With all the barges. So your dad and mom were your first fishing partners?
I was in a boat when I was 3 months old, and I was in a picnic basket. And my mom and dad would row out there with their oars and fish, hook them right in the mouth.
Yeah.
Grizz has one goal when he guides: catch fish,
Whoop, there you go.
any kind of fish,
Smallmouth.
and
Catch a bunch. That a boy, Ron.
The right guy got him, huh?
Ooh, fish right there.
That one?
Yeah.
A little snag.
That's fight. It might be a walleye. Chug at his head good. It ain't no sheephead.
It's a serious fish.
Oh, it is a sheephead.
Is it? Oh my God, it's
Great
huge.
big son of a gun.
Huge sheephead.
Freshwater drum. Yep.
Maybe he was the head of the flock.
Yeah, at the head of it.
Grizz was convinced the big flock also included walleyes.
Oh, that's a better
Oh,
fish.
that's
Oh yeah, nice one.
There we go.
All right.
Good one.
Good one. Well, they're pretty fish, aren't they?
Oh yeah, they're beautiful on the river here.
Decades of guiding with a passion for catching has made Grizz famous in angling circles and popular with his clients.
I've always been honest with people. If the fish ain't biting, I tell them right out, I won't take it, or you know, I never took anybody and say, oh, you should have been here yesterday.
You getting a little tough on your customers?
Oh yeah, no, I get crabby after a while. I can't help it.
So if they go with you, you better be prepared for a little harassment
Oh
unless
yeah,
they listen
get
to
it.
you.
Oh
huh?
yeah. Well, I'm trying to help them, you know, and they don't listen, you know. I don't know.
Chew them out.
Yep. Tell them the way it is.
There we go.
There you go, and run.
Fighting like a sheephead. That's what it is, too.
Yep.
He talks to you. You talk back to him. I'm gonna let you go, buddy. Thanks for playing the game. A lot of people say, "What's your favorite fish?" I said, "The one that's on the end of my line." Got a fish?
Yep. Got something.
Yeah, fishing machines aren't choosy.
Is it? Yeah, not a real big one. Walleye. Got him.
That's a dandy. You like a wall? That's a sheephead.
Oh, there I got one.
Do you? Good size?
Yeah. Holy grape.
It's a big old catfish.
Yeah.
Walleyes to catfish makes no difference to a river rat. After 40 years of guiding around ugly scenery but great fishing, the Grizz is still eager to spend another day with Old Man River.
Till I can't go anymore, I guess.
Our Minnesota-bound classic this week goes way back to a time I spent with the Snakeman and his friends, rattlesnakes.
Minnesota Bound, brought to you by Connecticut, Tracker Boats, and by Totem Resorts.
Coming up, a subject I know you'll love, rattlesnakes. We all love to fear them, but are we being rational with that fear? Let's find a guy who stands still while rattlesnakes are all around his feet. Who would that be? You're looking at him.
Bob Jenny is an Oklahoma native who never met a reptile he didn't like or like to show to the rest of us. And while we profess to abhor crawly things, Jenny's reptile exhibit is seen by more than 1 million folks a year. And Jenny, who is a self-taught naturalist, loves to point out the positive things about being a snake. And he remembers our questions as well.
A man asked me one time, he said, what keeps people from putting their hands down in the turtle tank? And I said, the turtle.
But it's Jenny's poisonous friends that tend to attract most of the attention. A rattlesnake bite isn't any fun. Jenny should know. He's had more than 30 of them. But most of the time, the snake misses, or really didn't want to strike in the first place. To prove the point, Jenny offered a close encounter with a Gila monster.
Just handle it gently, you know.
Really?
It's not going to bite, no.
Why not?
It has no reason to bite.
And I'm supposed to take him? Easy, buddy. Easy.
Well, that's kind of
This is new.
Now you have the Gila monster. I have the Mexican beaded lizard. These are the only two venomous lizards found in the world.
With flicking tongue, the Gila monster certainly looks the part, and so does its name.
And in Spanish it means terrible. So here we have the terrible monster.
Yes, but monsters have mothers too, and its beady skin was soft to the touch, just like its tongue. Jenny also pointed out the Gila monster would rather eat mice than men. With that, the monster and me parted company on pretty good terms, I think.
This has been a great thrill. Well, there you go, rattlesnakes set my feet. I must admit I was a little nervous, but I'm still alive, right? Well, that about does it for us. Remember, introduce a kid to the great outdoors. I'm Ron Chura, of course, always the star of the show. I don't think she likes snakes either. Raven, yes.
Transportation provided by Premier Transportation. Call 1-800-899-7433. For more information on these stories and more, catch us on the web at mnbound.com.